Hey everyone, today I want to talk to you about avoiding last stands as a light tank. I know what you're all thinking, just go in the middle of the map and kill yourself and then problem solved. You're not gonna be the last tank, especially the light tank on your team. Let's consider a situation where you find yourself as the only remaining light tank in your team, such as the one you're going to be seeing right about now, and maybe ask yourself, what could I have done differently to avoid this situation? So let's examine what happened in this game. When the game started, I took a bush aggressively towards the middle of the map, and I tried spotting the enemy tanks crossing the upper part of the map. Now I managed to spot a few tanks that crossed through the middle and also the upper part of the map, but at some point I kind of you'll see that I get myself stuck. I'm basically staying over here a lot longer than I should. So as you see, the beginning of the game, I just took this bush. I managed to get a few shots in towards those guys in the middle. I also see T-103, and the situation doesn't look as bad for now because my team is actually doing a bit of work. Although we only have a few tanks over here, you can see that our TDs are basically spotted by the EBR even 90, who has taken a very aggressive position over there. Our EBR has tried to counter that position and he's moving around in circles over there, but that doesn't really help. What he should be doing is go on the middle of the map, or maybe me, and that's not happening right now. I'm basically taken the role of a support passive scout, so now I did decide to change a little bit the position. Maybe I can spot a few extra targets. So I managed to spot the AMX M451, and I pinged the map to my teammates to maybe they can fire towards him. The problem is that most of the team is not necessarily in a position to support me and to fire on those enemies, and I failed to realize this when I played the game. I was basically thinking, when is the RT going to fire towards towards that guy? I'll just keep him light up. I just stay in the bush and just wait. Meanwhile, the Object 257 destroys our SMC, and then I do get a few spots in towards that AMX, but at this point our motion is basically alone, and he can't really do too much. So I'm just over here. I know if I start moving, now I will get spotted, so I don't really have any kind of good options. The enemy ABR is basically countering the whole middle, so our team can't get the shots in. I'm just waiting fruitlessly for the game to develop, which doesn't happen. I think the E50 gets a few shots in, but that's about it. And as you can see over here, I basically freezed, and while my teammates got killed one by one, I wasn't spotted, but I did feel pretty useless. As you can see over here, most of the enemy team has already advanced. This AMX is also advancing towards the middle, and yeah, by the time I finally decided to act, it was too late. At this point, the best thing that I could do is go for the RT, try and manage to spot them. Right now, the enemy team have already completely took over this flank. I keep on waiting and waiting and waiting, and nothing happens. If I move, I'm afraid that I'll get spotted and then killed. So this is finally the moment when I sprung into action, and it's already 6 minutes late, and most of our team is concentrated on the other side. They are getting flanked, they are getting surrounded, and they are getting killed. So when I finally decided to act, it was too late, and I went for the RT. I managed to spot them, and then basically advanced over there, tried to keep my distance. The RT knows that from where he's getting shot at, so he probably pinged the map right now. Over here, the RT is facing me. I fire once, the RT fires towards me, gets a good shot in, but fortunately I managed to actually shoot him and kill him. Now I have lost a bit of HP due to that fact, and now I just go onwards to see if I can find the next artist. The next artist is basically playing his little game, being oblivious. Now he started moving. I managed to track him, and then I just reverse a little bit, fire again, and now the second artist is dead. Right now I'm trying to spot a little bit and just trying to fire at this second light, but by this point the game is already lost. What I do right now, be able to get a few spots in, but our team isn't really able to take advantage of those spots. I fire towards the SU has already relocated, then I fire towards, or I think about firing and fire towards this guy over here. Now I do see the AMX M4 driving towards me. I don't want to get spotted, so I run away and basically decide, okay, I need to relocate once more. Now as you see, I'm the last guy on my team, so the only thing I could think of was to go towards the position that I was previously at the beginning of the game, and try to keep my distance from the rest of the enemies and try to pick them apart one by one. And right now I did manage to spot the Scorpion. He did fire towards me. He bounced, so I got pretty lucky over here. And now I started picking him apart. Found him basically alone over here. He panics and fires again and bounces again. So I have lost a lot of my HP ramming the Scorpion, and now I'm starting to fire at this SU. The SU does manage to pen me, and now I'm basically trying to do whatever I can to try and track him and get around him. I do manage to have a better reverse speed than him. I fire towards him. I basically do almost manage to kill him. But at that time the rest of the enemy team had found me, and I got shot from one invisible enemy and killed. All in all, that can be considered as a good result. 3.3k damage and a bit of also some spotting and a bit of tanking. What I should have done, however, was to get involved in the game a lot earlier and maybe try to flank or spot so they could have a fighting chance. Maybe turn the enemy's turrets or shoot them from a concealed spot from the middle, or reposition entirely. Although I got more than 3k damage, I failed to win the game, and I don't know about you, but I do like to win my games. At that time it didn't feel that bad for me. However, afterwards I started thinking, how can I influence the game sooner? And I'm not speaking just about rushing into the front and get yourself killed in the first minute of the game, but actually having that initial aggressive spot, then analyzing the situation and capitalizing on the enemy mistakes. Now let's take another example. So now let's look at the game where I'm basically playing the same LT-432 in the Erlenberg map, and I, as previously, rushed to a good position from where to do my initial spot. So basically this is the hill over here. From here, when you drive up it, you can see what the enemies want to do on the left side, and then if there's anyone coming towards the middle. So I take this position over here and then instantly get spotted by the LC. I fired him unsuccessfully and drive a little bit back. However, I do see that my teammate in the links went for the ELC and started firing at him. So I fired him on the move. I failed to hit him, and then I basically rammed him and also do quite a bit of damage towards him. Managed to kill him, and then I see that I spotted a few enemy TDs. Now my team is actually putting some work over here because I do have some support from the hill as opposed to the previous map, and then I just go under the lip of this hill and try to be a nuisance for the enemies. So at this point I negated the enemy TD's position, and I'm more or less in a safe position over here. I'm pretty conscious of the fact that I might get shot at from the middle of the map, from towards the city, but I assume that this isn't necessarily the biggest risk ever. I did take a big shot from the ISU 152K, but he did lost quite a bit of HP in return, so although I would have preferred to have more HP, then I think it's not that bad. So I just patrol around this area, and now As you see, the impact that I have on the game is a lot higher due to the fact that the enemies are scared of advancing and exposing themselves and getting light up by basically lights. So as you see, I do get a bit of spotting from the fact that I'm proxy spotting this ammo free, and the game is looking a lot better at the beginning of it, right? So if you manage to get an initial big impact on the game from the earliest phase of it, then you're going to do a lot better. Now I do see that there are a few, also this other links has worked pretty well with me. So I see that this guy is over here, and I just fire towards him. I failed to pen him, but from my point of view that's good enough for now. Now the enemies are scared of actually doing anything, and I get a few extra spots, and the enemy leads are basically dead. So the rest of the team has, knowing that this flank is secure, has advanced, and now we're basically having a 5-to-1 advantage on the enemy team, and we can progress the game, and from this onwards the game is going to be a lot easier, and it's probably going to be a win. So the main idea is to actually try and influence the game early, negate the flank but don't get necessarily yourself killed, and then do standard light work. Now basically I'm just using bush mechanics to keep on this WTF spotted. I fire at him, then go again, fire again at him. For some reason I'm not penning him, which is odd. And then although in this specific game my score isn't as good as in the other game when I managed to do a lot more damage, I think that this is a good example of a higher impact that you can have on a game than you saw on the other one. I do a lot more spotting, and the fact that I put my team in a better position from the beginning allowed us to actually have a better chance of winning the game, and as you see we have a huge HP boost or advantage over here. So what I do want to ask you is, do you have other examples of how light tanks actually work, and how are you playing your light tanks? Are you actually trying to get into that good spotting position from the beginning? Do you want to actually use your mobility and play aggressively, or are you a bit more passive at the beginning of the game? So the enemy team is trying to also cap, but we do have a 40 who's going to try and reset the cap on their side. And now I do see that we basically have won the game, and I just want to get one more shot in at least before the game ends. So I see that there's the pattern over here. I go for him and then try and get one more shot in. The pattern does, because this tank does have a bit of armor, the pattern doesn't really isn't able to shoot over here. Now, then I could have gotten one shot in, but the problem is that basically my teammate was in front of me, and then the pattern finished me off. Still a decent result over here. So going back to the initial question, the key in playing a light isn't necessarily to go in front and die in the first few minutes, or play extremely aggressive and do hero runs as you often see people in ELC get away with. The key to a good light play, and basically avoiding this last stance where you're the last guy remaining, is to dose your aggression. So play in a way that is helpful for the team, makes the team look good, and basically act as the lighting beacon of the team. You're going in front, lighting your enemies, and then if you do manage to get that good impact in the game, then you're gonna win a lot more games in your lights than you would previously do. And going back to the original question, the best games that you're gonna have in your lights are not necessarily the ones in which you need to do a crazy amount of damage on all your missions and everything like that. The key to winning the games in your lights are the ones that you make your team look good. You know when to stay in a bush, you feel the battle, and when you see that you might have an impact, even though it might be risky for you, you should take that risk. Even though you might take a few shots in, you're a disruptor. You're trying to disrupt the flow of the battle and make it run in your favor, in your team's favor. You, more than any other class, have the ability to disrupt the game and basically guide your teammates towards a specific goal. And that's, I think, the way light tanks should be played. Now, if you do have some comments or any suggestions or any things that you want to add to these two examples, then feel free to add them in the comments down below. And if you did enjoy this content, then maybe consider giving a like down and also subscribing to the channel, because it would help me quite a little bit. And yeah, that being said, thank you very much for watching up until this point, until the end, and see you in the next one. Bye now.